One night, during a loud thunderstorm, I was woken by a strange noise that came from outside. I also heard my dog growling in the living room. His growling was getting kind of annoying, so I went out there to tell him to stop. When I entered the room, I didn't see anything, so he must have been barking at a raccoon again. I was a bit hungry, so I went to the kitchen to grab a snack. That's when I thought I saw something moving in my backyard. It looked like a pale figure was just walking around back there. Then a flash of lightning hit, and I could see him. It was a pale, faceless man. He was just standing there, staring at me, and then he placed his hand on the window. He then started gesturing for me to come outside. I immediately ran into the bathroom and put water on my face. This was a natural response, because I remember when I was 6, I had a dream, more of a nightmare, that my room disappeared, and I felt the same feeling that I am now. But this time, I wasn't going to let my fear of the dark get to me again. I walked back to the window just to take another look, and he was gone. I sighed a huge sigh of relief, knowing that it was just in my head. I don't appreciate these weird occurrences happening to me. Still, you never know who or what is lurking out there. During my time in the drug game, I was in one of my spots. It was a slow night, so we were just kicking back and hanging out when we all get the warning alarm on our phones, the one that announces amber alerts and severe weather warnings. Well, there was a big, bad line of thunderstorms rolling in. And yep, right on cue, the wind picked up and the rain started. After about 10 minutes into the storm, the lights go out. So me and my homie are on the porch, checking out the rain and lightning when flash and crack. Lightning hits the street about 50 feet away from us. Or so it looks. Us gangsters, us tough guys, both let out shrieks like scared women and ran inside. Oh my God, it scared the hell out of us. Homegirl starts yelling that she's trying to watch something on her phone and for us to go into the other room. That's when I remember that the window was open in that room. So me and my homie go in there to close the windows. But when I opened the door, the room was filled with light. It wasn't a really bright light, but it was like a bluish white light. I go over to the window and look outside, and it seems like there's a spotlight shining into the house. Now it's pouring outside. I'm thinking maybe somebody had a flat tire on the street behind us. Or is the cops getting ready to kick in the door? So I get closer to the window and yell out, "I can see you too." And my homie there got scared because he thinks we're about to go to jail. However, through all the rain, I can see that the light isn't coming from the street behind us. It's coming from the very back of my yard. And it's a big yard, so the light had to be pretty bright and a good size to light up my room the way it was. I got the chills. My homie still thinks it's the police, so I get my phone to zoom in with the camera picture. And guess what happens? Yes, the phone died. I get a second phone and try to do the same thing, and lo and behold, that phone dies too. Now, it could be that maybe they weren't charged, but I always have my phones charged. So now, both me and my homie are scared. And I yell, "What the fuck? Who was that?" And this light turns red. It starts kind of moving up and down, increasing in redness and brightness. So for the second time in 10 minutes, me and my homie are screaming like little girls, running back to the living room, and that's when we notice homegirl was not there. You could see her phone there, but she was nowhere to be seen. And then she walks out of the kitchen. She says she went into the kitchen to find a portable charger because her phone just died all of a sudden. We tell her to come here and take a look at the light, and of course, it wasn't there. Now I've heard that UFOs like thunderstorms, that they can recharge or something. I also hear lightning can knock them out of the sky. But then I think, well, maybe it was a kid out there playing with a flashlight or a spotlight in the middle of a severe storm. The more I thought about it, the dumber it sounded. But I was trying to find a logical explanation for all of this. As far as the phones go, Maybe the lightning that struck near the house created some sort of energy, which caused an electric disruption of some sort. Maybe the ball was like ball lightning. I'm not sure what it was, but I do know that was a scary night. Hello there. Are you enjoying the stories? If you are, please hit the like button. If you are, please hit the like button if there's supposed to be a severe thunderstorm during their flight, before wishing them luck on their trip to Hawaii. Also, throw the subscribe button at Kale Smoothie. They're trying new things. Okay, back to the stories. This whole experience was maybe 5 minutes long, and I had no repercussions or injuries, but it changed how I viewed fear forever. For a few years in the early 90s, I did some volunteer work in a maximum security correctional facility. It was a regional jail and held mostly men. There were 3 cell blocks of incarcerated women. I worked exclusively with them. In order to volunteer there, I had to pass a background check. I also had to sign a no hostage release waiver. That basically means if something goes wrong, I don't exist. I can't be used for negotiating purposes if, say, a riot breaks out and I am held hostage. I meet with the women once a week. In order to get to them, I have to go through 7 locked electronic doors and sit inside a very small conference room. After I'm settled in, a guard escorts the female inmates into the room with me. Each time I leave that place, I am so grateful that I can. Before this experience, I've only had one concern, which is the security risk of there being a small men's Bible study across the hall from our meeting. Not only that, but they meet the same time we do. This study has their own volunteer, and he also comes from the outside. I don't know him personally, and I also don't think it's a good idea to have a men's and a women's group meeting right across the hall from each other. This fear is based off an incident that happened one night. While we were having our session, one of the incarcerated men from the Bible study breaks away and ran into our room. He grabbed a random woman and kisses her, then he runs out. You would think they would up the security, or at least put stronger locks on the doors, but no, nothing changed. So the reason I write this story is because of this experience I had during a complete blackout. One night, there was a tremendous thunderstorm. I could hear the thunder through the walls. Although I was scared at first, I kept thinking to myself, this is a big prison, so they ought to have a generator. But not a moment after having that thought, the lights go out. It is pitch black, black as ink. It was as if I had entered a terrible dream. I had this instantaneous surge of adrenaline, and my thoughts speed up exponentially. Anything and everything that could happen to me flashes through my mind. The women start screaming, which isn't good. Then I remember that all the doors are electric, and with the power being out, they can't protect us anymore. That means that any of those incarcerated men across the hall can just come right in. And it doesn't help that the women are screaming, which gives them a guide through the dark. Plus, I didn't know whether or not the general population was locked down. The women and their screams seemed to be anti-sirens, but instead of calling sailors to their death, they were calling fellow prisoners to come kill us. Eventually, I roar in a voice that was not my own. Shut the fuck up! And they did, at least for a little bit. Then, I started to scramble to get under the one table in the room. After what seemed like hours, but was only really 45 to 50 seconds, I see emergency lights come on. Yes, the generator! They were very dim, and they were running around the floorboards, but they were on, and we can see a little bit. I could see the outline of the room, and it was a faint blue glow. 30 seconds later, a guard enters the room and immediately escorts me out into the lobby. I'm safe. It cannot be overstated how hard my body was shaking. I had no control over it. I was shaking violently. arms, legs, along with my neck and head. Even my teeth were chattering. As my body is going out of control, I try to calm my nerves and look out the window, praying for the rain to let up. Soon after, the guard comes out again with the man who taught Bible study. He's a frail old man in his 70s, and he's about a half a foot shorter than I am. He has the classic old man look, glasses, wrinkles, and a balding scalp. I look at him and say, "Was that not the scariest thing in your life?" And he replies in this mildly reproachful and entirely too cheerful voice, "Oh, honey, Jesus is always with me. I never have to be afraid."